Hello, everybody. Good day to all of you. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's see. 6:02 right now. Sorry, it took a bit of time for me to connect. Yeah. Okay. Hi,
Dr. Koo.
Hi, Asha. Okay, let's see. Oops, what sound is that? Okay. All right, let's wait for everybody to come in. Hi, Minye. Hi, Benji. Hello, hello, hello. Let's just see. We have 18 of you in here. Right, more are coming in. I need to off the sound of my phone. Sorry. Okay. All right. Okay. Good evening, Dr. Ko. How are you doing? Thanks for asking, Khalid. Actually, I'm not doing so good. Yeah, it's just been a very stressful beginning of the week this week. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Yeah. Well, so yeah, going through a lot of things at the moment. As a lecturer, people think that a lecturer job is to teach, right? Which of course we lecture, we teach, we do student consultation, yada yada. And then the next thing you know, it's just been a whole lot other administrative works that has to be done. Well, basically, the office is gonna get into internal audit this week.
Oh,
Did I hear?
那可能是他们那里他们系统更新。
I need to mute Xianghan. So yeah, we are the office of, in Taylor's University, we are now doing the internal audit. So, things are just getting really busy this week. And then the next thing, my husband has to fall sick this week, So then, yeah. And I think for most of you probably know that I have a very young son who is just 3 years old, So it's just crazy juggling, taking care of a 3 years old on my own, and my husband who is not well, and on top of that, going through internal audit, and on top of that, all the classes and the supervisions and consultations, right? Well, you get the gist, lah, huh? So thank you, Khalid, for asking how I am. Very honest answer, not doing very well. But, well, how about the rest of you? Is everybody doing well? Is everybody all right? How has your week been? Hopefully everything will be fine soon. Yeah, hopefully, Like what people always say, the stressful week will always lead to fruitful ending. I'm so waiting for Saturday and Sunday. I'm so waiting for it. So, can we just get this thing done and over with, I'm not sure if all of you are, maybe possibly for those who have working experience, you will know that the process of audit is very, very, very stressful, right? Well, audit is whenever somebody else's come and, basically check on all of your work and question you on why you do it like that, why you do it like this, why you do it. It's not that we didn't do our job. Of course, we do our job, but, a lot of things, documentations that needs to be provided for, or things that you need to show proof of, it takes time. Yes, very time consuming and annoying. Yes, Khalid, that's the way how it is, lah, huh? So yeah, that's what, like I said, lah, huh? It's just a very bad timing for me this week, to be honest. I just, So I was just even right before this class, I'm still rushing some of the stuff. And I think tonight I'm going to pull an all-nighter still, you know, so many things to be done. So yeah, been a stressful week, but well, that's life, isn't it? Sometimes you get stressful week, sometimes you get much better week, right? So how about the rest of you? You don't share much about your week. I don't know, how are all of you doing? Maybe, you know, for some of you who are working, you should share about your work. Is Ismail here? You know, Ismail, I've been calling you for many weeks. I don't seem to get any response from you. Are you hearing me all right? Ah, yes, you're here. Okay, okay. Because last week I saw your name, but when I called you, there wasn't any response. So I just hope everything is fine with you, Ismail. It was you, right, who went for the vaccination? I think it was you, right? I hope everything's fine. So how anybody got their vaccines? Yeah, yes, I'm fine after vaccine. Okay, good. Good to know that. All right. Anybody else? I think most of our friends who are from China has already been vaccinated, I think, right? Because I know that the vaccination program in China is going pretty fast. That I think most of my students has already been vaccinated. Gary looking for a job in a bigger company now. Oh, why? Why now to make the move? Why not wait? Why not before this? Why now? Oh, Luby is also vaccinated. Okay, very good, very good. I was vaccinated last week. Feels so good. Really, Sichang, you feel good after vaccination? I thought vaccination is always, you know, a couple of days. You take some time to get well. You know. Carrie vaccinated. Ha ha ha. Good. It is very funny that I heard some people who said that, you know, after vaccinated, you feel stronger and even healthier. I'm like, vaccine are not supposed to boost your immune system, right? I don't think it get that way. Didn't get the vaccine registration yet. Only people older than 40 can register here now. Oh, okay. Khalid, which nationality are you from? Huh? Interesting. Oh, Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh, only old people older than 40 can register now. Khalid, it's not like Malaysia are doing any better, okay? We are only vaccinating those who are above 60s at this moment. We haven't, you know, and then I don't know if you all hear all the hoo-ha about whether you should volunteer, and then you start volunteering and then you don't get, some people get. So you hear in Malaysia, is the whole vaccination program is just a whole big mess, huh? Oh yeah, huh? This session is recorded, huh? Maybe some of the things, huh? Shouldn't be saying in the class, huh? But anyway, all right. I just hope that everybody will get vaccinated soon. Looking at the current situation in Malaysia, I don't think I'm getting vaccinated anytime soon. You know, I don't think the vaccination program will reach us anytime sooner than say, I don't know. Now it's already June, so probably end of the year, hopefully. Finger crossed, right? Okay, well, thanks for those who share about your week. At least it's something to cheer me up, knowing what you guys are up to, you know. But Gary, you still haven't answered the question of why. Why do you want to look for a job now? Why not before this? Why not after this? Why now? So everybody, Kale say, week been pretty boring and gloomy, especially because of the constant rain. After a year in this small company, not much to learn and grow my skill. Okay, okay, understood, understood. Good thing to talk about the progress, right? And I'm a jack of all trades, so no specific skill. Actually, that's a very good, I mean, you know, this whole thing about being a jack of all trades has always been a thing in organizations nowadays. Now, I mean, sharing, which is something, what you just mentioned is actually quite relevant to today's, when we are discussing about finding for work and also in organizations, what do people look out for? In fact, actually, whatever we talk about, we're going to talk about a little bit today, which is about managing human resources in. I have a small request before we start. Where can I find the record of the previous two lectures? Okay, Ishmael, I already have the recording available. So what I'm going to do is I've actually plugged it into my Google Drive, and I will share the link to all of you after this class, okay? It's already there. I just have to share. I forgot to share the link last week. This is thanks to Ming Ye's reminder, like, come on, just record it and then we just upload on a weekly basis, right? So that we have a record of all our classes. So I'm gonna post it up on Times, after this class, all right? So yeah, back to whatever that we were talking about, right? Talking about workplace diversity. I think it's one of the topic that, in fact, has been debated by lots of bosses as well. Whether in today's world, do we look for a worker who is a generalist or a specialist? What is the difference between generalist and a specialist? Generalists are basically, of course, people like what Gary just mentioned, a jack of all trades. That means you have done a little bit of everything, Do you have experience in this? Yes, I do. Not much, but yes, I do. And you know a little bit of everything. Is it good for you to be a generalist who knows a little bit of everything? Or should you be a specialist where in your career, you shape yourself as such, where you actually have just one area or specialty and you zoom into it? Can I have your opinion? I know just what Gary mentioned, he's obviously a generalist, right? That's true. Having one skill or background does not cut it anymore. So Khalid actually thinks even for you also, that means you are really more of a generalist as well, right? Anybody else who are different or who would like to be a specialist in your job? Now, again, you used to be once upon a time, being a specialist has always been lauded to be something very good. For you to specialize into something is actually very good. Reason being because when you specializes into something, you know the depths of it, and if people want to look for somebody in that area, you have your niche, your specialty. It's like that's your selling point, so to say, your USP, your unique selling point, but does that cut it anymore today? So according to Khalid, no. What about the rest of you? Do you think you want to be a specialist or do you want to be a generalist? In fact, if being a generalist in an executive role is fine, then but if more than 3 years, then we should know what our specialty in my perspective. Okay, so that means your opinion is kind of same with Mingye, where nowadays being generalist is required before you could be a specialist. Definitely a generalist. Generalist sounds like not specialized in anything. I believe in being specialized in multiple background and skills. Wow, Khaled, you are very greedy. You want to be specialized in everything. More avenue to specialize in further. I want to specialize, but at the same time, don't want to be. I want to generalize in everything else. Yeah? Okay. That's the thing, right? Good observation, huh? But actually, I noticed that in today, a lot of our career where bosses are looking for people, generally today, especially in the field of media and communication, generalists are definitely more sought after rather than specialists within our field. Why so? Okay, first of all, when you are in the field of media and communication, right? Today, of course, a lot of combinations of different areas, right? A lot of things are starting to come together as one. So what people need is someone who is multi-skilled. Of course, if you are a specialist, like what Khalid said, you are a specialist in everything, that's definitely wonderful, right? But of course, in reality, it takes time to get there. It takes time to be a specialist in everywhere. And a person must always know your career path, like how do you want to brand yourself, in terms of your CV, because whatever little steps you take now obviously will become whatever reputation you have in the future. And in my case, to be honest, I until today, I would say I'm still a jack of all trade, right? I think even for most of you who have been with me in my class, you will realize that it's funny that I teaches quite a number of classes, political comm was my PhD area, but yet I'm also working with the corporate communication, hence I'm teaching organizational communication, hence I'm teaching corporate communication strategy, hence I'm teaching also financial public relations because those were my job scope back then. So these are the kind of things that I will also see myself as quite a generalist, but knowing that generalist is actually very marketable these days. And even if from a perspective of employer, you will want to find somebody who is generalized. At this age and time, being a generalist is actually more advantageous compared to a specialist. Of course, it depends on what field you're talking about. But specifically for media and comm, I would say being a generalist has more advantages than being a specialist. All right. Generalist for sure. I think it becomes a requirement to be super adaptable and takes on many hats. Yeah, that's right, Asha. I think you are right. Where a lot adaptability has become a skill that is sought after, right? In big corporate, they usually prefer someone specialist based on my previous interview. Maybe that's why they didn't hire me. Okay, now, as I mentioned to all of you before, I work with IOI Group, and IOI Group is obviously a large corporation, right? They do have, they are a multinational company. They have base in China. My CEO at that point of time was the fourth richest man in Malaysia, with palm oil business, property business, hotel business. China also, they have plants in Xiamen, and then he also was expanding his business all over. All right, so my company was technically quite big, and to a certain level, what Gary you observe is true to a certain extent. Why do I say so? Actually, they are not looking for a specialist. Do you realize that big companies always hire interns a lot? Why? Because they need people who are mechanical and technical. That means, right, I give you that one tiny scope of job, and I just want you to do that one tiny job scope, okay? Because I just want you to do that one thing. So big corporation can be pretty stifling in that sense, okay? That's why when students go for internship, I will tell them that it depends on what you want. If you are the type that you're comfortable just doing one scope of small area, that's actually, you can always aim for big companies when you do your internship. But if you want to learn everything in the trade, it's always good to go for startups, small company. Then you become a generalist, as in a generalist who basically do everything. So big company is quite straining in that sense, because what they are looking for is a people who can perform, because they already have a proper system in place. They just need the person to actually fill up the empty space. All right. So don't be disheartened, Gary, it's just not your area at that point of time. Who knows? Maybe in future you'll get another one, right? I'm all good. I'm sure you are. I think most of the students here are marketable, right? All right, now, bringing on to today's topic of lecture, right? Let's look at it. See, I'm sure all of you are looking at my screen right now, right? Yeah. Okay. Please give me, hold on. Yeah. I'm trying to, yeah. All right. Human resource management, workforce diversity, and management style. This is something we are going to be dwelling with in the coming 2 weeks. And this also has something to do with your next assignment. Now, all of you are, I noticed that you are all, looking at articles, basically already beginning your reviews and all of that. So I trust that to be out of the way by next week, right? The deadline is on the 29th. I will also upload the links of turning in and the full submission within this week, okay? So I'll get that up. Once the links are all up, right, you just have to submit by 29, which is next. Tuesday by 11:59 p.m. So first thing first that you got out of place was actually your journal article review. I think I've been getting a lot of emails from all of you for consultation purposes with regards to the review as well. In fact, some of you are even already done with the review and you're just seeking my opinion on improvements, etc. So I think that's very good. I think all of you are actually on the way to really submit the first journal article review by next week, right? Now, today's topic also has to do with your second assignment. Now, the second assignment is where you begin to talk. If you remember, I was telling all of you, your second assignment is really about a self-reflection on your own leadership style, okay? Now, what is it that we are covering on leadership style? Why is it even part of this class? Obviously, if you remember, taking a master in communication is a process of preparing all of you to eventually become a manager or someone who knows how to lead others in terms of the media and communication field. And one of it is, of course, understanding what kind of leadership styles are there available out there and what type of leader are you, okay? Of course, before we run through it, right, from the 27 of you in here, what kind of leader do you think you yourself are? Do you think you're a good leader? Are you comfortable to be a leader? Those sort of things. What do you all think? Anybody has anything that you would like to share with regards to your experience, maybe? Mahi is autocratic. She's super autocratic. In another way, she's like, you listen to me, right? You listen to me. I'm too nice. Ha 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 ha. 100% Hitler vibes. Okay, we got a Hitler in class. Gary, you are too nice. Are you sure? Luby say being a leader can sometimes be an annoying thing because people will disturb you even when you're busy. Can you not say that? Because that's like music to my current ear, especially whatever I've gone through this week. I prefer being vice leader. Why, Daniel, do you prefer being a vice leader? That means you like to be like, when a hero, then a hero will always have a sidekick. You like to be a sidekick. Is that what you're talking about? What would you? So it's like you are the Robin Hood to a Batman kind of thing, right? Bad cop, good cop, is it? I shall say I'm a silent, independent doer. What would that be classified as? Okay, we're going to discuss a little bit on this later on, okay? We will see which category you are in later on. How about the rest? Anybody else? I don't know, maybe Zichang, Xiang Han, Jia Wenjie, or anybody else, Kaiger or Ishmael or the rest of you. Anybody? What about your own style? Let's just see how many autocratic people we have in here. How many nice people we have in here. I think I should learn. Shuai, what do you mean? Learn to be, or how to be. Okay. All right. So Khalid says, I think I'm a democratic leader. Wow. Hamra also is a democratic style. Zichang said, I might be a different person if I were a leader. Interesting observation. So you are someone different when you are a leader. How different are you? That means when you are on your own, you are nice, but when you are a leader, you become a super autocratic leader who's like, follow me or die kind of thing, is it? Anybody else? Keep it coming, right? Okay, because today's topic is really on leadership style. This is one of it, okay, when we are discussing about human resource management, this is one of it. And of course, talk about workplace diversity. So basically this week's topic, and also next week, perhaps, we will be covering more about things like generational gap, which I think is a favorite topic of many people, because then you get to complain about the boomers and the older generation, and then those who are from boomers or Gen X can complain about the millennials kind of thing. So yeah, those are part of our topic when it comes to workplace diversity as well. I may be a strict and obnoxious leader, being okay, interesting. Very good working atmosphere. Will strive for more employee benefit. Okay. So Wei Yi is the kind of leader that will fight for the employee. Stretchen say, I think I need to learn how to be a good employee first. Actually, that's a very good point. Being a good employee is the condition to being a good boss, isn't it? I've never been a leader before, but I can imagine I can't lead others. Okay, Carrie, you cannot be like that. You cannot have no confidence in things you have ever even done before, right? Who knows? You can be a good leader, right? Okay, thank you so much for all the input. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, so let's move on to today. I think already when I'm asking all your opinion, you get an idea of how you yourself are, right? What kind of leadership style you have. And at the end of the day, when we talk about leadership style, what exactly it is, right? So obviously, if you were to look at the concept of leadership, you are basically trying to direct people, and you are trying to move people in a group, right? So if you want to be a leader, obviously you need people to follow you. Have you ever seen a self-declared leader? It's an interesting question in Malaysian context, isn't it? Self-declared leader. Anyway, so yeah. So leadership involves followers, right? If you want to be a good leader, you need people who listens to you. Secondly, obviously, a leader has more power than the subordinate. And to a certain extent, you have a sort of influence towards the people under you. Now, there are theories on leadership where every leader, you are based on these three approaches. Either you're a leader by potential, you're a leader by trait, or you are a leader by contingency. What is these three things? Potential means, have you ever heard the phrase that someone is actually a born leader? All right. So do you think a leader, people are born to be a leader? There are some people who are just born as a good leader. Any of you? Or you do not agree that leaders are born? Okay, so Mahi said, I think it's nurture over nature. Gary said it needs to be nurtured and cultivated. But do you think some people are automatically just better at it compared to some people? You may nurture 2%, one is just better than the other because they're born to be a leader. I think a little bit of both, because I see my little cousin being a big boss to my other cousin, so they're just on board of it in some cases. Some people are just born to be followers, isn't it? But it has to be nurtured. Yeah, okay. Kale say only the Nippo leaders are born leaders. Interesting. Someone born with gold in their mouth can do that. That means, okay, what Xiang Han just mentioned, okay, bear that in mind. Imagine a baby leading army in their preschool. Gary, why will you even get there? Why army? You play too much video game, really, like, oh. A leader has to maintain their leadership skill. They are natural leaders, but also need maintenance. Okay, kind of like Mowgli. Okay, let's talk about kind of like a Mowgli syndrome. Raised by human versus in the jungle. One cultivates a certain behavior. Asha say has a lot to do with your personality type too. I think just now earlier we do have a classmate who mentioned that, you're a different person when you're a leader, So maybe that's like a part of your personality that's not usually being shown to others, right? So yeah, now when we talk about leadership theory, one of the things that has always been mentioned is that there are people who are born to be a leader, and that includes things about your um, physical characteristics. So for example, obviously, if you're talking about a physical characteristic of a leader, I completely feel that, like, for those of you who have seen me in my real life, you know how short I am, right? I'm short. Uh, I'm not tiny, right? I'm not tiny, but I'm short. Okay, so obviously, physical attributes of a leader is always someone who's tall, right? Who's intelligent, extroverted, confident, right? You do get people who, when just by their physical look itself, they look very stout and firm. Of course, this has always been argued to be the physical characteristic of a leader. Now, second thing is when some of you were talking, Asha earlier was mentioning about personality. That falls under the second approach, which is to talk about the trait. A person's trait where from their observations, they learn how to communicate, how to allocate job, and how to motivate worker. Everybody has their own way of doing that, right? And you will realize that there are two kinds of leadership. One that is very much focusing on solving the tasks. Two is a leader who is very focused on maintaining the social function of a group. What does that mean? That means you are more of a people person. You want to keep the group happy. You want to make everybody happy in the group. Probably sometimes at the expense of the task. Or you can be a leader who is so focused on the task that you don't care how much you stress people. I think we have both types of leaders in this class, right? In this class, obviously, right? Now, and of course, besides that approach, leadership by traits also look at your style of leadership. Ohio State University actually did a research on this. And again, it's also looking at how people are, a leader can either be very task oriented or someone who is very considerate, where it's actually very much, looking into the well-being of the worker, the well-being of the employee, hoping that they are well. And what you realize is that the research result shown that a considerate leader contributes to way higher employee satisfaction. That means it will lead to low turnover, right? That means not many people, turnover is low. When turnover is low means people don't leave your company because people are happy. I mean, we should think about it. Of course, it's a natural consequences. The more you care about people, of course, people are more comfortable and people won't leave. But you are very task oriented. It's very appropriate for things like if you're in an army. In an army, when you need to make split seconds decisions, obviously you don't care about how the other person feel, right? Obviously you don't ask, are you all right? Are you comfortable doing this? Obviously you don't do that in an army. Okay. Now, trait leadership is the ones that claim up the second approach. Okay, where you look at whether you are task oriented or you are people oriented. Blake and Moulton grid is one of the most classic and famous grid there are. Can you see 1955, 11, 99, and 91? If you look at the graph, one side is people oriented, one side is production oriented. Now, if you look at 1-1, it's what you call impoverished management. What does that mean? It means you are not people oriented, you are not production oriented either. You're just a lousy leader. Okay, you fail at being a leader, basically. Okay, now if you were to go up at 1-9 at people oriented, okay, 1-9 is country club management, where you are so people oriented. Your production is low, but you don't care because you care about the people way more than the task. Of course, all of us would think that we are a 5-5. Middle road management, where I try to balance between people and also production. I'm a 5-5. Not too good here, not too good there. 9-9 is of course the best, then the most ideal, where you really care and you excel at taking care of production. You are also excelling at taking care of people. Best kind of leader, obviously. Or are you a 9-1? You don't care about the people. You are really production oriented, and of course, that is what you call the autocratic leadership. So Blake and Moulton, okay, uh, has always been a managerial grid where people use to actually identify where they are. Am I people oriented or am I production oriented? So first is that you have potential, right? You're born to be a leader. Or second approach is that you have the trait, either you are people oriented or you are production oriented. Okay. Under this trait leadership, also they have another system for Rancid Likert. I'm going to just talk about a few kinds of theories that you can actually look into when you talk about leadership. All right. Again, some of you were mentioning that you are very authoritarian. That is what you call system 1. System 2 is when you are called as the benevolent authoritarian, where yes, I'm still autocratic, I still want order and structure, but I give a little bit of freedom to my employee. Or are you system 3, where you like to make decisions based on discussion, but the leader decides it all eventually, but you consult your worker? Or are you 4, participative, where your workers will make decision together with you at the end of the day? So that is system 4. Now, in this particular theory, of course, you are trying to achieve the highest production with minimal cost and the highest motivation. Okay, what this research has found, this particular theory has noticed that when you use system 1, which is exploitative or authoritative, because you are kind of like threatening people to work, right? The productivity actually tends to be low. Whereas system 2, in benevolent authoritative, you have some kind of communication, but it's more like you do what I say, you get reward. If you don't do what I say, you get punished. The turnover, the probably the productivity is still all right, but yet the turnover is still very high. People eventually leave, especially when they feel that they are unhappy about it. It seems to be along the system as you go. System 4, where you are participative, where you are getting people, where you're communicating with the people under you all the time, you encourage them to participate in your decision making, it seems to produce excellent productivity. Now, translate this into practical environment. Of course, you often think that, well, that's how it should be. You consult people and all of that. But I'm sure all of you will also agree that it may work in some ways, but it may not work in some ways. And different approaches seems to actually require, different cases seems to require different approach, so to say, right? Now, that's why translating all these theories that are available out there into a real life practical application can sometimes be a little challenging, because the real world is not as black and white as what we see in theory sometimes, right? Now, so we mentioned about potential, we mentioned secondly about trait, and third is actually the contingency approach, where leadership is based on the factors that influence the behavior of a leader at a given time, involves prediction of the most effective style under a specific situation. Now, what exactly does this quote mean? What's the meaning of contingency? Contingency means emergency. So in this particular case, what it is saying is that some people, they are not leader, but a certain situation forces them to take the leadership up. Certain emergency comes up, they had to take that position. And a certain crisis sometimes actually need a different kind of a leader. Now, under this group, okay, where contingency theories is that you will find these four particular key theory that lies under this area of leadership by contingency. What does it mean? Now, a very good real life example is, of course, you can have a very strict leader for 25 years, and everything seems to be running well under this strict leader. Now, a crisis happened. Now, when a crisis happened, you will realize that his approach of being harsh or being very strict doesn't seem to work because he's not a leader who is emotional. In this time of crisis, another leader probably say someone who is a little bit more gentle, someone who is a little bit more emotional came in and takes up the position of the leader. And that style seems to work for that particular crisis. That's what we mean by leader by contingency. A leader that was suited for a certain specific situation. So Hitler is a contingency leader? I would not say Hitler is a contingency leader. Reason being because Hitler was neither put into the position to be a leader, like, he wanted it, right? Nobody forced him into it. And he's very clear of his objective. He's very clear of the way how he goes about it, actually, which is why people tend to think that he is more autocratic rather than, any other kinds of leader. But of course, some people even argued that he's born to be a very good influencer, which is why he influences the people under him a lot. So you can say he lies somewhere between someone who is a born leader and has been cultivated, as some of you were mentioning, right? It was nurtured along the way. Plus that with his mindset, you get Hitler, villain of the. I think Biden is, yeah. Now, Xianghan, you bring up a very good example, okay? Joe, currently U.S. Upon the case of Donald Trump as the president, does anybody want to express their opinion about Donald Trump? What kind of leader do you think Donald Trump is? Gary, orange leader, clown, Cheetos, crazy clown, none of the above. Okay. Hamra, if none of the above, so what's your take on it? She not a clown, not a Cheetos, no nothing. So what is it? Wow, Asha is very compassionate, a confused soul. Minye say a small loan of $1 million. I mean, not above my command. Is there such a thing as supremacist leader? Of course they are. A brilliant businessman, according to Khalid. Okay, all right. So Gary, yes, they are supremacist leader. Of course, people who think that they are superior, their race is superior. And talking about supremacy, of course, Hitler is one of the example of ones who hang on to the idea of supremacy in their policy, right? All right, now, talking about what Xianghan was mentioning, you're talking about Biden, right? Actually, you are right. I would personally, in my opinion, I do think that Biden is the leader that you can technically say will be raised in the times of needs, when you look at how Donald Trump has conducted whatever he did, and when Biden comes into his position, we can't tell for now, right? Because Biden hasn't been in place for very long, but yet what you can tell is that what he's trying to project or portray is that he is someone who is very, what's the word for it? He's compassionate, right? He's gentle, he is diplomatic, why I say he's a contingency kind of a leader is because this is what US needs at this point of time after Donald Trump. Now, given time, if let's say if Biden didn't come into place after Donald Trump, people might perceive Biden to be weak. You know, you are very weak. You are very, we are not strong enough. But yet, because of whatever that has happened in the past, with the pandemic, etc., they actually felt like, oh, okay, he seems to be a more gentle version, you know. To be honest, both weren't very good options. Biden was simply the better option as compared to the crackhead before his self-branding 1010. Yeah, exactly, Asha. So that's right. Politician brand management is very important. Huh? So anybody who would like to work for politicians, please, very important. Trump is a brilliant businessman, but how he deals with COVID-19 and other matters are quite, because the session is recorded, certain words cannot say, then, I mean, not you cannot say, I cannot say anything, okay? It's like, yeah, but anyway, well, everybody is entitled to their opinion. You may be surprised to find that many Americans actually agree to whatever Donald Trump has done, think that Donald Trump is doing a great job by closing the borders, putting their people first, yada, yada. But reality was, it was quite a mess at the end of the day. But who are we to say anything, right, when we're not there? Yeah, so thank you for the thing, okay? Thank you for mentioning Biden. So yeah, that's a diversion from our topic for today, okay? All right, so now going back to this, okay, 4 contingencies theories. Now, what we are looking at, okay, I will show you one by one. Now, like I said, one of the theory that falls under this contingency paradigm is the Fiedler LPC leadership theory, or what you call the least preferred worker, least preferred, what's the word? Even the C, I need to think about it. But basically, we always known this in the industry as the LPC leadership theory, okay? Now, what does LPC leadership theory believe is this. A leader is always, you have your style, of course, right? So everybody has their own style. So there's only 2 things that can be changed in any situation, especially in times of crisis. You either change the situation to suit the manager or change the manager to suit the situation. All right. Sometimes he actually has this measurement of least preferred workers, where a manager who is at the low LPC, they actually see worker in a very negative light, like, hey, yeah, all you people are useless, all the workers are clowns, which is exactly what Donald Trump was doing, right? Like, nobody knows this better than I do, you know? All of you don't know this better than I do. Everybody is surprised with how much I know, you know? So he always sees the people under him to be very lowly, right? And least preferred co-worker. Yeah, well, I would say, what kind of, again, right? You either change the manager, it means change the leader, or you change the worker, in this context of a leadership, right? So are you the type of leader? You will notice that in the case of Donald Trump, he don't like the people. He think that, oh, I don't like you, you know, you are not in accordance to my style, I'm going to change you. That's low LPC. High LPC is whenever you see workers in a positive light. Again, you know, satisfaction of worker, good human relations. You need both kind of leaders, huh? Now, I would like to say that, you know, if you were to look at Merkel is the chancellor for the Germany. She's a good example of someone who is stout, appearing to be not very emotional, very scientific, or least preferred. Oh, really? LPC is least preferred co-worker. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah. Because whenever we use the test, we often refer it to as LPC. Okay. So Yeah, where were we? Yeah. So Mikhail, I would say, is actually a very good example of someone who seems to be very much emotionally detached, doesn't talk that much about human relations, but people love her because she has that very good balance of low and high, I would say. She suits a lot of different situations, even in her harshness or strictness, you know. Now, according to the LPC leadership theory as well, whenever whatever you do, you have three things which are in place in any organization. You have to take care of the relationship, you have to look at the structure, and you have to look at the hold on, my screen sharing is paused for some strange reason. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you have three elements that you always have to take care of. You are either looking at your relationship with the people under you, you are looking at the structure, and you are also looking at the power play. Now, relationship, I think it's easy to understand, right? You will, of course, want to be a leader who is respected by your worker. You wouldn't want to use like your power to say, you do it because I tell you to do it, right? The more your members respect you, the more you don't have to do that. But also, in any organization, besides that relationship factor, you have the task structure where you will realize that any task that requires a lot of a structure or a lot of procedure, the leaders have more power. Whereas there are some aspect where you are so-called a leader, but actually there's a lot of things which are not within your control because of the structure of how things are. And of course, thirdly, your power based on your positions, how highly acknowledged you are within your position. You can name yourself whatever manager, whatever leader, you can name yourself that, but how highly acknowledged you are, how high is that status is what matters, right? So Fielder actually looked at the power play of these three elements in his theory as well. Now, besides the LPC theory, another one is what you call the house path goal theory. Now, basically, according to Robert J. House, okay, it's very simple. If you were to look at a graph, it's just like one line, right? So what does that mean? And you realize that the line is not straight one. It just basically say, all right, at the end of the day, we have a goal to achieve, right? We have a goal to achieve. Now, the manager or a leader must be someone who paved the way to reach the goal. How do you reach the goal is what a manager is supposed to do, right? Pave the way. And the focus under this particular house path goal theory is that you must look at it at during a certain emergency at the end goal. Okay, if this is what I want to achieve at the end, which worker has the most, the best personal traits that will help me to achieve this goal? That's why earlier some of you were mentioning personality is very important. In fact, I even was reading, I think one of you was sharing articles on personal traits as well. How an employee personal traits is actually very important. That's why interview is so important, because a manager will want to know whether does this person have the personality that I'm looking for, And of course, a manager will also have to factor in the environment. What is the culture of my organization? What is the job characteristic? Whatever we are doing here, what is the main characteristic that we are looking at? So these are all the things that you need to pay attention to under the house path goal theory. And another one that also fall under the contingency leadership. Remember, according to situation. Now, Hershey and Blanchard's situational theory of leadership say that you need to be a different kind of leader based on which stage your worker is at. Stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. You must follow their level of maturity. So like if stage 1, if you are dealing with a new employee, someone who is like, completely clueless about what to do, you need leader who is very highly task oriented, right? Talk about, okay, you need to do A, you need to do B, you need to do C, you need to do E. You have to lay down the tasks because they are new. Now, when a worker is already they know what to do. They don't need you to tell them A, B, C, D. You tell them A, they give you Z already, So when the worker are well adjusted, you focus more on motivating that person or trying to adjust to the human relations. Now, when a worker is very comfortable, they get bored. What is the next stage? When the worker begin to hold more and more responsibility. Now, when the workers begin to hold more responsibility, they need a leader who is considerate, right? And lastly, of course, a stage 4 is when the worker is completely confident. You can just leave them alone. Imagine if you treat a stage 1 and stage 4 the same way. It's different. So you do expect your worker to be confident and independent when the more mature they are. And then at that stage, it's really about, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just motivating you. I'm just giving you confidence to go ahead and do whatever you think you need to do, right? So Hershey and Blanche said you need to vary your leadership style according to the 4 stage of maturity. Now, another one is what you call the continuum leadership theory. Now, continuum leadership theory, I would say it's a bit more abstract kind of theory lah, huh? Because why? This theory say you need to feel the energy. Even saying it for me also, I feel like, okay. Not one that I often use, but I think there are many companies who love this idea, where you actually looks at the energy level by the leader. I mean, of course, some people are more highly energetic, some people are low energy, right? So you have to see what is the energy of the leader personality. You have to see the energy within the worker, and you need to see the energy within the situation, right? Of course, certain situation requires much more energy. For example, those that are deadline are super tight or that is very detrimental. If you do one thing wrong, someone can die. Of course, that's a very high energy kind of situation, right? So what kind of energy is going around is actually one of the very important things that you have to look into as well, right? Now, at the end of it, right, handling subordinate is always like when you try to see the worker like a rope. Sometimes you pull, sometimes you push, sometimes you pull, sometimes you push, sometimes you pull, sometimes you push. And at the end of the day, it's about strategies, how you want to communicate with the people under you. Whatever that you see right now, right? Meeting your promises as a leader, demonstrate your confidence, creating a safe environment for the people under you, being fair and balanced in terms of discipline, avoid job monotony, listen to the people under you, and give enough information. These are all the things that are, I think you know it, principle wise, right? You know it, but yet it's not that easy to do lah, so to say, right? So these are the kind of things that you have to bear in mind when you are handling a subordinate. Now, on the other hand, handling your leader. How do you handle a leader? Do you know what your leader wants? Do you know what he or she like or dislike? Who is the main enemy of your leader? Of course, this may or may not be important, right? Knowing what is the standard of excellence required by your leader is very important. I don't know what my manager wants all the time. No wonder Gary say you want to leave already, right? Because you don't know what your manager want all the time, isn't it? She always changes every 1 week to 1 month. Then that brings to the next point, isn't it? Know the political practice adhered by your boss in workplace. And understand your leader's emotion. Those are important points to take note of, right, Gary? Yeah. So, of course, discussion and consultations are also very important. So again, I would say these are all the points which are very, common sense lah, huh? But how easy or how difficult it is to implement, that would be the question, right? Now, sorry for the sound. Okay. Being a leader means you have a lot of power. With great power come great responsibility, right? Okay. And according to French and Raven, there are 5 different types of power called legitimate power, reward power, coercive power, expert power, and referent power. Now, just now somebody was mentioning about being born with a golden spoon in their mouth. That one is what you call the legitimate power, right? When a father give the son the business, then the son have power. You have power because you're the tycoon son, then you're legitimate power. Reward power means you are powerful because you have the capability to give a person what they want. For example, salary, right? You are powerful because you can offer a lot of money to the people under you, and people respect you, or people go, do whatever you tell them to do because you are able to reward them. Coercive power is your ability to force people to do what you want them to do, either emotionally or something, Of course, coercive power is not the best kind of power. Expert power, people actually give you the power because you are the expert on that thing. For example, you let the doctor do whatever he wants to do in a surgery because you expect the doctor to be the expert, right? That is expert power. Referent power is when you respect this person because you know that this person is connected to many other people that you are afraid of. So 5 types of power are available out there, right? Now, we will move into leadership style in a while more, okay? But let's take a 5 minutes break, right? And I want all of you to just type into the chat. Think of a leader that you work for or someone that you have observed. What does this person do, and what quality does this person have that make you admire him or her as a leader? Think about it. Think about who you have in mind. A leader that you really respect. What exactly do you respect about this person? Can you please share your thoughts within the chat room? I will give a couple of minutes. Can it be from a TV show? Of course. Okay. Please, anything, anyone. Can be a political figure, can be someone that you observe. Like I said, can be a TV show. Yeah, why not? Share. Okay. Let's take a quick 2 or 3 minutes break while you type. Go and get your drinks, do whatever you want while I wait for most of you to just type out your answer. Okay, we'll wait for a while. Anyone else? Anyone else? So far, we have two persons talking. Gary, say Hannah Yo. Okay, for those of you who don't know who Hannah Yo is, she's one of the politicians in Malaysia, right? Used to be from the government. Right now, she's in the opposition. How courageous yet truly caring with no political motives. Okay. My manager, okay, Mahi says she respects her manager, seems stern, but he's super understanding and kind. I think I most admire his strategic outlook to every and any situation. He's always observing every single move that you make. That's not scary, always observing, right? So he knows how to play around the politics like a chess game. And he's super friendly, so we gossip about that over beers. Interesting, huh? My previous leader was able to do a good job on releasing tasks and facilitating the completion of work. Makes me think my work is efficient. I think it is important to finish the work effectively. This will keep me from working overtime. Ha! Surgeon, tell me about it. Whenever a good leader is not good in facilitating the completion of work, you suffer, doesn't it? Because you have to tend to work overtime. Let's not even go there, right? Carrie say my boss have a very clear blueprint, knows the future direction, always give a long-term plan, will combine the most popular way to attract customer and supplier. Sounds very good, a very good example. Trevor Noah is an amazing example. He's the host of the daily social distancing show with Trevor Noah. Okay. Talks a lot about social, political issue, and his charisma. The audience and follower also influence to think the way he does. And to think about it, the way he thinks is logical and considerate. So a good leader is one person who is logical, considerate. Ishmael say Walid Mualem, is it? The former foreign minister of Syria who died months ago, okay, treated me very respectfully, and his way of communicating and giving orders was very nice and at the same time very strict. Very nice and very strict. How do you even combine that, huh? But that's the thing, right? Some people just have this way about them, you know. They can smile and look at you, but you feel like you're sweating when they're talking, right? So the person I have in mind is my instructor or conductor. I admire him because he's a leader of example. He had to go through the same step as us. He provide more of a motivational path along with solution, if any, that can be provided. And afterwards, it's a lot of teething. I think you mean treating, is it? Annalise Keating from the series of How to Get Away with Murder. She's self-sufficient and confident, a great lawyer and criminal law professor. People fear her and admire her. Yes, I'm a fan and investor in the series. Hamra said Nelson Mandela because of his commitment to peace, negotiation. Bian Yi say, when I was an intern in a TV station, there was a leader who left me a full impression. He's the chief director of a program. He's strict with his work. He treats his subordinate very kindly. If you have questions you don't understand, you can ask him. Okay. Being kind, all right. Haigang said, when I was in the military, my manager didn't just focus on whether we get the job done. He will look at the difficulty we were having in life, even the changes in mood. Someone who cares about how you are personally, right? It's very important. My leader can maximize the strength and appreciate the value of every employee, Hong Ye said. Very good. Jie said, my former leader worked as a marketing director at a publishing house. Very kind, very good at finding the good in people to compliment, and everyone was great in her mind. Okay, someone who's very into human relations. Huh? My first employee, I like the disclaimer. There were many questionable character traits, right? He was a typical people person, cared for the mental health of his employee, made comfort and grow his priority. We will make time to make just about anything and everything a learning opportunity, okay? Zi Chang said, my previous leader, very friendly, always help us to solve problems patiently when we encounter them, attaches great importance to the communication with us. Yeah. A leader who communicates well and takes the time to communicate is important. I admire the previous leader very much. The company new project will have a good vision and will prove to be the correct decision afterwards. Leader also maintain very active and good communication with the team member. This improved the work efficiency very, very high. Okay. When you say very good input, I really enjoy this sharing, right? Input from all different walks of life. My current director, she knows how to put on many different hats to communicate with all of us who have different working style in order to maximize efficiency and remove the politics at the same time. Okay, very good. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to say something? But you know, at the end of the day, I think if you can see from everything that all of you post, right? I often come to a conclusion that being a good leader is something that's quite abstract, right? My cousin brother, Daniel, say he's the oldest among the cousin group. He always see things from different perspective and understand our situation. From there, he gives good and appropriate solution. If we have conflict, he's always the one who settle our conflict and give us logical reason to shut us out. Okay. But you see, that's the thing, right? A good leader always have some kind of wisdom about them. Xiang Han said, I think about Obama, very educated, sharp every time in public, very clear about what he's representing. He can exert the power of talk to convince people by supportive reliability. Unlike the orange one, right? As a black guy, he's looking more confident and persuasive than many white political leaders in the US, which is really quite a rare attribute. You are right, Xiang Han, I do agree. It's a very rare attribute. And Obama, you know, often like appears to be like calm, very collected, and you know, like nothing fazed me. Everything is fine, right? Although, according to like what was mentioned earlier, right, by Asha, there were many questionable character traits sometimes, right? If you were to look, but then who is perfect, right? Not even any leader is going to be perfect. Now, is everyone still doing all right? Still okay? Are we good to go on? We're good to go on. Can I have a thumbs up from everybody? Good to go on, good to go on. Yes, yep. Okay, good. Thumbs up. Right. Now, after all the theories that I've thrown at you guys, right now it's just really something, I would say, I would lay down the leadership style that I think is very much something that all of you would know. Because even when we were discussing your own personal style, we talk about autocratic, right? Someone autocratic, of course, is someone who is only I say, nothing that you say, right? Now, generally, okay, I would like to just share with all of you that whatever literature or journals that you look for, right? Leadership style have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, autocratic, bureaucratic, democratic, coercive, transactional, transformational, and last fair. Now, but these are usually the big names. But you please do not be surprised that when you read up on leadership theory, you will realize that there are some people who, from this 7 leadership style, right? They either change the way it is being called, or they have a different label to it, or they may even say, you know, I'm an autocratic, bureaucratic leader, you know. Some research are trying to combine the concepts together and all that. Just don't be surprised and say like, so how am I following this or am I following that? And there are many school of thoughts, many different ways of categorizing leader that are available out there. But whatever I'm sharing with all of you in the class today is obviously the most common one that people know of, all right? And again, this is where it is helpful for your presentation. When you are reflecting on yourself as a leader, I want you to think about which style do you think you have been using and what kind of style you want to be in the future. Of course, in differentiating each of these styles, when you are an autocratic leader, you retain the power, right? You make the decision. You are the decision-making authority. You don't consult anybody. You want the people under you to obey your order and explanation. You don't obey, you get punished. You obey, you get reward. Autocratic kind of leader. Now, autocratic has always get a very bad name, right? People have always like, well, you're an autocratic leader, you're a bad leader because you're very autocratic. But then again, there are place and time for autocratic leadership. When you are dealing with new employees who are very untrained, who are like, all over the place, don't know what they are doing, you need an autocratic leader, someone who just catch you and like, do this, do this, do that. New employees are often very comfortable when there is a direct order and they follow the order. Okay. Autocratic sometimes is also, especially when you are dealing with employees who are overly motivated or employee who does not respond to any other methodology, or sometimes when that particular task you need to do, right, you have very high volume needs. You need to produce a big amount of things in a very short time. Then yes, that is also very helpful, right? Or when your power is being challenged by the people under you. For example, of course, again, places like army and military is one of the best places to use autocratic, right? Because of course you are talking about life and death matter, and there is a very limited time for decision making. So the people are often trained to listen to order and obey. Okay, that is autocratic. The second style is of course bureaucratic. I myself, I identify very much to be a very bureaucratic leader. The way I manage things is I always go by the book, by the policy. Okay, everything must be done according to the proper procedure or policy. That's the way I like to work as well. And if it is not covered within the policy, I always go to the next level and to the next level. People who are bureaucratic, they are more like someone who just manages things rather than someone who's telling other people what to do. I'm hearing some sound. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, they are more police officer than a leader. You're just managing. And bureaucratic style is often very good if you are performing something that's routine, something that has a high need of standard and procedure, or if you are using very dangerous or delicate equipment, right? When you're using dangerous or delicate equipment, of course, procedure is everything, safety or security training being conducted, right? If we are talking about training, things that involve safety, security, money. These are all the things which you have to go by the policy, and which bureaucratic leadership style is one of the best style. Of course, some of you also mentioned democratic style. The third style is, of course, democratic, where you like to consult your employee. You like to talk to your employee. You like them to participate. You like them to vote. You like to share decision-making and problem solving with them. Yes, you have the final say, but you want to hear what everybody else has to say. Democratic style, of course, is one of the most preferred style. People think it's one of the best style. Why? Because when you are someone who is democratic, you help your employees to have a say, right? To have a say, and when they have a say, they are looking at themselves as well. Whenever I say something, am I performing? You are helping them to establish their goal. And when the more they get to voice out their opinion, the more you are encouraging them to grow. And of course, democratic leader always recognizes and encourages achievement. And we often find that democratic style is the most durable kind of leadership style. High quality, high quantity work for a long period of time, right? When do you use it? Of course, when you need to have your employees to be often informed, when you want to encourage them to share, when you want them to share, let's come together, solve a problem together. And when you want your employee, people under you to grow, to think, and to really own up their work, that's when you always, democratic style is always the best. And of course, if you have a very complex problem that requires many, many heads to think together, so you need input, right? Sometimes being a leader, you may not have a certain solution, therefore you listen to people. And of course, the more you listen and people feel at home with the group, they feel heard of, it encourages team building and participation. Next style, transactional. What is transactional? Transactional means transaction, right? You transact means I give you this, you give me this. So transactional leadership is always the kind of leadership that I motivate you by telling you I got something you really want. For example, direct sales often uses this approach. Where can you see or not? I got my big car, I got my Ferrari, I got my Lamborghini. You listen to me, you follow me, you will also one day get that. Give your life to me, give your time to me, and I can make you rich. Right? Transactional kind of leader. It's really not so much about relationship, but they are focusing very much on the exchange. I give you this, you give me that. So it's all about you manage to accomplish it, then I will give you what you want. Okay? So your follower will have a certain expectation. And if you can meet their expectation, they will also meet your expectation. That's transactional leadership. Now, when do you use it? Most of the time when you want to be in control, you try to like make them like, okay, I can give you this. That's why a lot of leaders, when there's an approaching deadline, when there's a very important deadline, you go like, hey, there's an approaching deadline upcoming, again, we want to meet it, then you actually try to give them more money. I give you more money, you finish it faster for me, okay? But transactional often, the relationship between the leader and the worker is very short term, because the moment the transaction is over, stop lah. So there's nothing personal, there's not much of human relations in it. It's really more about what you can offer to me and what I can offer to you. Transformational leader, the next style. Someone, a leader who is very charismatic and visionary. I think some of you in your example of an ideal leader earlier, you actually mentioned that someone who is, is amazing, because when they make decision, it's often proven that they make the right decision. Just as some of you say, it's very strange how they actually can make very good decision. And then you find it very inspiring, and it actually you feel like the values that this person hold to, or the ideals that this person hold to, is very similar to you. Even some of you were mentioning the kind of leader you like are someone who inspire you to think different way, give you different perspective, right? And common strategy, of course, that's used is often, this kind of leader will often talk about vision and then framing. You should look at it from this perspective. You should look at it from that perspective. Transformational leader, because they are charismatic, they are oftentimes obviously one of the most sought after kind of a leader. And research indicates that transformational leadership is very strongly correlated with lower turnover rate, higher productivity, and higher employee satisfaction. One of the best styles that you can have, transformational. Because why? It instills the feeling of confidence. People admire you. People are committed to you. And your followers feel like they are always learning something new with you, like, oh, I'm so impressed. I don't know what to do, how to do what he's doing. I want to learn. You always stimulate your followers to think. And of course, you reward them with, when they perform, you also reward them. But it's more about a value kind of a reward, And leaders who are transformational, they are very flexible and they're often very, very innovative. Okay. Now, when do you use this style? Is whenever they want the members to be very active part of the organizations. When you're trying to build a sense of belonging, you want your worker to feel like they belong to your company. And when the organization has a long-term plan, and when people need to be motivated, right? Now, the last styles available is what you call the laissez-faire, which very simply put is hands-off leadership. That means you expect your employee to know what they are doing. You leave them on their own. You let them do whatever they want. You give them as much freedom as possible. They have all the authorities and the power. You determine your own goal, but if you come to a problem, you solve it on your own as well. So laissez-faire, the name is laissez-faire. That means free, laissez-faire kind of leader. Now you may say, you can let this style of leadership ever work? Of course it can. It works when your employee is very highly skilled and experienced or very highly educated. They have the pride in their own work and they know how to tackle things on their own. And of course, especially in the job scope where you use a lot of outside experts, and when you really, really think that your employee are experienced and very trustworthy. Now, what is the best kind of jobs that uses the laissez-faire approach? Is of course jobs, for example, like hospitals. Every doctor or a specialist, right? The specialist may work for the organization, but the boss don't question what the specialists do. More often than not, the leader is just there to manage things, but everything else is upon that particular employee themselves. Engineers or people who these are usually highly professional jobs where you are expecting the worker to be very experienced. They know exactly what they are doing. Okay. And you don't need to control them in any way. So these are all the leadership styles that you can think about, right? I will actually stop in terms of the leadership style. Now, we have actually covered quite a number of things today, right? We cover in terms of the different theories of leadership. We also cover the different leadership style, theories of leadership and leadership styles that are available out there. Again, reason why this is one of the early lecture is because I want to give you time to really think about your own self. From your particular experience, what kind of leader do you think you have been? Now, off the bat, right? I hope it hasn't been too confusing with whatever that has been mentioned and talked about for the past 1.5 hours. So, again, we come back to the first questions that I started off in this class, which is, so, what kind of leaders do you think you are? Which style do you think you are? Khalid still thinks he's democratic leader. Okay, very good. Gary also thinks he's democratic. Democratic? Mahi is like, I'm all out autocratic. Democratic. Carrie says she's a laissez-faire. Interesting. Sawyer says she's democratic. Luby say democratic and laissez-faire depending on situation. Okay, we'll talk about that. You're so funny, Azmira. Azmira is the kind of leader that breaks down and cries during conflicting situation. High five! Okay. Democratic, mostly. I'm seeing a lot of vote for democratic. Minye say, I don't think I have enough experience, but based on things I've led so far, mostly democratic. Asha, I agree with Azmira. I said I just walk away and do everything myself, then I cry after. Ayo, why you sound so poor thing one? Hi Gam say democratic. It's like, I can so imagine Asha sitting there and doing her work and she's crying and thinking about why she has to do it all by herself. And then she get it done eventually, Yeah, and an ugly cry also, Actually, I have a question about the term ugly cry. It's an oxymoron. Why do I say that? How can anybody look pretty when they cry anyway? Is there such thing as pretty cry? You busy smile and then cry. So is that supposed to be a pretty cry? Vina says she's bureaucratic democracy. Okay, that means a democratic leader, but also with a little bit of mixture of bureaucratic. Or I'm a bureaucratic true and true. Okay, I go by the book, and yeah, I'm also plus the crying one lah. Pretty cry is Kim Kardashian crying. Bro, really? Yeah lah, Kim K is ugly cry. I agree. Anyway, we shouldn't be talking about this, right? Have you seen the picture? What picture, Ruby? Kim cry. Some people cry, you want to hug them. People who are ugly, you want to put a bag over them. That's fake crying. Kale says she cries at literally everything. But like that Titanic lady looks pretty crying. Kate Winslet, you mean, Mahi? Does Kate Winslet look pretty when she cries? Huh? Okay. Beauty is in the eyes of beholder, huh? Okay, but well, thank you for the banter. I really enjoy this, right? When all of you are bringing in other aspects as well. But at the end of the day, I noticed that actually this oftentimes happen that I realized that I'm not sure. That's why next week when we discuss about what's the term for it? Generational gap. This could be something interesting for us to ponder upon because for the past 2 years or so, I've been noticing that the trend of your generation, younger people nowadays, who oftentimes preferably use democratic. Not many, of course, autocratic has never been a style that is preferred by many people, I'm sure. But I'm also quite surprised with how not many people will pick things, for example, like being bureaucratic or transactional or, other kinds of ways. Many prefers democratic, which is really about discussion, discuss together as a group, coming to decision together. And if you were to compare to previous generation, if you were to ask your parents what kind of leadership style they have been under, you realize most of the time autocratic seems to work very comfortably for our parents' generation and so on. Which is a pretty interesting thing, isn't it? Imagine someone who is comfortable that way, working together with you. In a company, you have a 60 years old man with all of you, 25, 20, 25, 20, how old you are, 25, 20, 26, both of you? Or even younger, right? So yeah. Generational gap does matter, right? Because in terms of how you approach each other. Something interesting for us to ponder, especially when we need what do you call it? Workplace diversity, different levels of people in a company. Getting along in a company is never easy to put it bluntly, right? Always very challenging when you are dealing with the older people. And the older people think it's very challenging to deal with you, I must say, right? If you were to speak to your leaders, they will find it very challenging to deal with you. So yeah, I guess humans just never like each other, huh? Well, okay, so that will be about it. Today's lecture covering certain theories and also some of the leadership style. Again, go back, think about it from your experience. Has that been working out? Like most of you who say that you're a democratic leader, do you think that style has been working very well from your experience? Do you encounter any challenges by being a democratic leader? Even earlier when Gary was mentioning, he was like, I think I'm being too nice. So when you say that you think you're being too nice, obviously you have encountered some challenges when you're being nice, right? So what are the challenges? And it's about reflection means, okay, in future, then what are you going to do? For those of you who ugly cry and then do work by yourself, that's of course, when it comes to issues of delegation, right? A leader should know how to delegate. A leader who don't know how to delegate will burn out themselves, right? Because you don't know how to delegate. So think about it. What are some of the challenges you have faced being a leader? or from your little experience, for those, some of you may even say, I never have experience being a leader. That's called being a ding dong leader. I'm that leader. Asha, confidence. A leader needs to have confidence. Okay. So yeah, think about it. And also, of course, at the end of the day, to take away from the class, how would you like to be in the future? I always tell all of you, one very fine day, very soon. In fact, it's coming very soon. In fact, some of you are already a leader in your workplace. So what kind of leader will you want to be? Miss, will you be posting this video to the Times? I am hoping that on weekly basis, I have created the folder. I'll put lecture 1 and last week's lecture in the folder. And then after today, see when I'm free. After my internal audit, everything is all over by this Friday. Hopefully next week, I can sit down, breathe a little bit, post all the videos that we had so far. Okay, every lecture has been recorded. So it's just a matter of putting it into the Google Drive, sharing the link with all of you so you get to see lecture 1, 2, and 3 together. It's funny that all of you want to see the video. It's like most of the time it's just me talking. Why would you even enjoy seeing me talking again? But well, okay, let's do that, Louis. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for the course assignment details are on the video. Yeah, okay, yeah, good idea, right? Okay, but again, speaking of that, right, before we close the class and end the class for today, does anybody has any questions with regards to the second assignment, which is on the leadership style presentation? It's going to be an individual presentation, but there's like so many of you, which I'm trying to think my best way of how to do this, you know. How many minutes? 15, yeah. Could be a bit too long when we have so many of you. But then again, I want everybody to have a fair chance to really present your own individual experiences and so on. But I don't want it to be like a session where it's so draggy, you know, it's one presentation after another. So we see how to go about it, right? In terms of the real actual presentation. I did try one semester where I actually asked students to just pre-record your own presentation and then to just post it. Then I evaluate you from there. But I always find that that was actually not a very good approach because the rest of the people don't really see the video. And then it's like, come on, all of you have very rich experience to be shared. It is a presentation only? Is there any written article we will provide? Ishmael, if you would like to write an article, feel free to do so. But for the purpose of the assignment, it's only a presentation. I think Ishmael was like, I can't believe it. There's no written article. There's one assignment that doesn't have a written article, right? Yeah, for this one, it's only a presentation. It's on the 13th of July. Let's look at the assignment brief. To really see back the timing. The second one, yeah, it's 13th of July, you're right. Do I need to submit the presentation slide? Yes. So the second assignment will have the folder where, again, I will also upload the link into Times. So just like how you submit every other assignment, you actually submit the presentation slides as well. On a scale of 1 to 10, how particular are you about the look of the slide? You mean like the beauty of it? No lah, I'm not a very fanciful type of person, but of course, good pictures. It's about good pictures, good preparations, right? Okay, good preparations. But I'm more genuine. I'm genuinely more interested to listen to you talk rather than pictures, right? PowerPoint, right? Any other questions so far with regards to the assignment? I love having classes like this, lah. So much things going on the chat. Not yet, Gary said. Okay, all right, good. So well, that will be it for today's class. If nobody has questions for now, right? Focus on finishing your first assignment. For those of you who have not yet finished your first assignment, all the best with that. Again, I know that you all will love to have the recorded videos of these of all our lectures, as well as the links to the assignment. Again, as I mentioned, this week is quite a bad time for me with the internal audit coming. So I put this on my list, and hopefully, I promise you guys by the end of this week, I'll try to upload everything right, okay? Just to get it out for you guys so that you won't have to wait and that you know all the details as well, yeah? Okay, guys, so let's take, oh yeah, I was about to say that, Mahi. Let's take attendance with everybody before we dismiss the class, yeah? All right. Okay, 23 of you. Anybody else? No, 29. There's 26 people and yet the attendance got 29. It's a little creepy, isn't it? Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to stop the attendance taking. Export students now marked. All right, everybody, with that, now, what is your goal for the upcoming 1 week? Like I say, please ensure that you finish. Number one, please ensure that you finish your assignment one. Secondly, start thinking about your leadership assignment. What kind of leader? How would you like to present yourself? Okay, with your experiences and all of that. Try to think about that, right? And look into what kind of leader you aspire to be in the future for the presentations. Okay. All right. So that will be it for your goal and task for the week. Next week, we will look further into other matters of workplace diversity and human resource management. All right. So with that, thank you very much, guys, for being here in the class. I wish all of you a good week ahead. All right. Thank you, everybody.